Hello, everyone. Hello, and welcome to the July 2nd Astro update from Mystic Physick Astrology. So every 2 weeks on this broadcast, what we do is we explore the current sidereal transits from a Western sidereal perspective. And if you need to look up your sidereal sign placements to follow along on the broadcast, you could do that at my website at mystickphysick.com/sidereal tools. So there's an easy to use calculator, just enter in your birth data, and it's going to give you a copy of your 𝘱𝘀𝗶𝗴𝗵𝘁𝘀 sidereal natal chart with whole sign houses. And you can just grab a screenshot of that and bring it with you into the broadcast. We'll be looking at some house placements and a couple of specific degrees today. So I definitely encourage you, if you don't normally bring that to the Sidereal Insights Astro update, definitely bring it today because you'll want to take a peek at your natal placements as we get further into the broadcast. And it's kind of a long one today. We normally run maybe 15-20 minutes on these broadcasts. There's a lot going on in July and a lot that's going to be happening in the next couple of weeks. And so we're going to touch on each of those points in a little more depth today. But I'm 𝗦𝘀𝗶𝗏𝗵𝘁𝘀, I'm the astrologer and artist of Mystic Physick Astrology, and I use Western sidereal astrology in my practice primarily to help you reconnect with your soul purpose and to remember why you came into this world. And my aim with the broadcasts that we do here on Mystic Physick Astrology and in my Facebook group, the Sidereal Insights Astrology Community, is to provide guidance for you on how we can consciously use the energy of the transiting planets to affect our lives in a positive way. And so welcome to today's broadcast. Please like and share the broadcast. Tag a friend if you know you have a friend who might be interested in what we're talking about today. You can also follow Mystic Physick on Facebook, and be sure also to subscribe to our YouTube channel. So what is up for today? Let's recap some of the current transits so we can kind of get oriented as to where we are right now. Keeping in mind we're using the 𝗦𝗱𝗏𝗏𝗃 sidereal zodiac. I'm going to trip over myself on that today. So current transits, we have Jupiter retrograde in Libra. We have Saturn and Pluto retrograde in sidereal Sagittarius. We have Neptune retrograde in Aquarius. We have Mars retrograde in Capricorn. So a lot of retrograde activity going on right now. So it's no wonder that it feels like we're moving backwards in a lot of different areas right now, and that will continue to feel that way for some time. Now there's some other retrograde activity coming up in the month of July, but right now this is a total of 5 planets retrograde, most of which are the heavier hitting outer planets. And so our lives are kind of slowing down right now. We might not be making much progress in a lot of different areas or on many different fronts. And a lot of what we begin or do over these months, even in through late September and for some folks into November, a lot of that will come up for change or adjustment, correction, as is necessary over the coming months. So expect changes. So if you have major undertakings or initiations that are going on in these months, please be aware of that. There's a lot of transition, a lot of restructuring as changes become known, as information comes out, and as we move through eclipse season, we'll be dealing with some changes there as well. So keep that in mind. A lot of adapting going forward in order to make progress as we come out of these retrogrades. So slow down. That's the main piece of advice that I have for you right now. Don't force or rush anything in the next couple of months. Like I said, we are entering a season of change, and a lot of things will be in flux, especially as we move through the month of July and a little bit even so in the month of August. So do your best to just kind of chill, write it out, take stock of where you are once the dust settles. After the eclipses, after our upcoming Mercury retrograde is over, after Mars retrograde is over, just kind of be patient until then. Know that things are going to change and that you'll be better able to get a sense of what those changes are here in about 2 months or so. Okay, now we do also, like I was saying, have Mars retrograde right now. Mars retrograded late in June, and he will be retrograde through late August. He's retrograde right now in Sidereal Capricorn. I do have an article about Mars retrograde available for you on the website on the Mystick Physick blog, Uranus in the 5th house. And I'll post a link for that in the comments in case you'd like to review or just bookmark it and keep it handy over the course of the next couple of months. But in addition to Mars being retrograde, in July we also have some Mars out of bounds activity. When Mars is out of bounds, and this is meaning that when he orbits north beyond the Tropic of Cancer or south beyond the Tropic of Capricorn, we have a tendency to become a lot more headstrong, a lot more driven and ambitious than usual. Now keep in mind, Mars is currently transiting the sidereal sign of Capricorn, which is quite an ambitious sign as well. And so we have a really positive opportunity to capitalize on this out of bounds energy by pursuing our ambitions, by being driven, although we do have Mars retrograde. So the retrograde and the out of bounds are going to flavor our experience of Mars over the coming months, and they're going to do it in slightly different ways, okay? So you might feel more ambitious, but you might also run into more delays and obstacles, which will be more frustrating than they might normally be. So do your best to cultivate some patience. You'll also want to work on practicing forgiveness. And so let's talk a little bit more in depth. We spoke on our last broadcast about Mars retrograde specifically. This time what I want to talk about is Mars out of bounds specifically. So our courage tends to run higher when Mars is out of bounds, which can be positive, right? And with Mars being retrograde, that may be the courage to face our inner adversary. As opposed to an outer one. So if you know you have some inner work to do, this is a particularly good time to take that on. We can also be more self-centered on the flip side. I mean, it's not all butterflies when Mars is out of bounds. So be aware, we can be more self-centered, we can be much more impulsive, and we can be overly aggressive, okay? And much more aggressive than we might otherwise normally be, coupled with the tendency of Mars retrograde to make us collectively irritable and frustrated with delays or detours. Out of bounds, he's even more likely to influence us to overreact to those delays and irritations in rash or perhaps even uncharacteristically violent ways. So please do keep that in mind. We tend to, when Mars is down, pick fights unprovoked. We tend to overreact in anger. And so be aware of this tendency both in yourself and in other people as we move through the coming 2 months. Now, the out of bounds transit is going to last from July 7th through July 24th. So for about, 2.5 weeks or so here just in the month of July specifically. The retrograde will last through August 28th. So those are the dates that you're going to want to keep in mind as it relates to Mars' current transits, okay? Practice forgiving and forgetting. That's my best advice to you in the coming 3 weeks and in the coming 2 months, but especially in the next 3 weeks. And so, like I said, this influence is going to last for out of bounds until July 24th, for the retrograde until late September. Okay, now coming up in July, we have some other activity going on. We have Jupiter about to resume direct motion here on the 10th. This is good news, especially if you have Sagittarius Sun or Sagittarius rising in your sidereal natal chart. So this means that we'll be able to start making some sort of slow amount of progress. Will begin growing and expanding again in the house that Sagittarius occupies in your natal chart. Okay, so like I said, especially Sagittarius, and then so look for the house that Sagittarius occupies, but you'll also feel this to some degree in your Libra house, and that's because Jupiter is currently transiting sidereal Libra, and that's where he'll be stationing direct. Eclipses also have eclipses coming up. Eclipse season is here now that we're in July. The first eclipse that we have to deal with is a new moon solar eclipse in sidereal Gemini. That particular eclipse coming up is going to be opposing retrograde Pluto. Okay, Pluto, of course, being the planet of rebirth and resurrection. He can bring destruction and transformation and rebirth. Okay, so what this means is at this new moon solar eclipse in Gemini, we're presented with an opportunity to kind of rise from the ashes of our own destruction, to return from the dead, or to be reborn, transmuted, having been burned up and consumed in the heat of the crucible. So keep that in mind as we progress through the next couple of weeks. Typically, with a new moon or a full moon, you feel it strongest the day before, the day of, and the day after. You might have a window of about plus or minus 3 or 4 days of that lunation where you tend to feel it intensely. Now, eclipses are more powerful than typical new and full moons. And so typically with an eclipse, we're going to feel that for about a week or so before and after the actual lunation. So the experience covers a broader range of time, and you'll want to keep an eye on your calendar for that reason. Now, let's talk about eclipses just for a little bit, eclipses in general. They expose secrets. They tend to expose secrets and hidden things. And opposed the ruler of the underworld, those secrets could very well involve things like sex or death or manipulation or machinations or secret agendas, okay? So watch for exposures of that nature, especially exposures which could potentially result in the destruction of whomever or whatever they expose. Okay, now if you happen to be what's exposed or what goes through an experience of destruction, it's an opportunity for change and transformation and an opportunity to be reborn in a new and different and stronger and better form. So even though it may be painful, keep in mind there is an opportunity inside of it for you. Now, eclipses can also bring new beginnings. They can herald endings. People may leave our lives for good during an eclipse, or new people may come into our lives to take a fairly permanent place. And usually, eclipse change is permanent. Often it forces us to move on from something that we've outgrown or that we've been holding on to much, much longer than necessary. So do keep that in mind. They bring upheaval and change where stagnation has settled in, especially when that stagnation isn't serving us any longer, especially where that stagnation might be holding us back. This particular new moon solar eclipse occurs at 25 degrees 41 minutes of Gemini by the 𝗤𝘽𝘀𝗵𝘁𝘀 sidereal zodiac, excuse me. So check your natal chart for a planet or personal point at 25 or 26 degrees of an air or fire sign. You're looking specifically at Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius. If you have a planet or personal point within a couple of degrees of 25 to 26 degrees of any of those signs, you're likely going to feel this particular new moon solar eclipse quite personally. Now, this particular solar eclipse, did I put a note? I might not have put a note about what node it happens on in these notes, because I'm preparing for a podcast specifically about eclipses coming up in about a week. So stay tuned for more information about that. And when we do that broadcast, we'll talk more specifically about certain degrees of the chart and certain dates that you'll want to be looking at for the eclipses to be activated for you personally if you're going to be affected. Okay. Now, we're going to feel the effects of this eclipse through Gemini-ruled themes and areas of life. So sudden changes related to travel plans or unexpected visits from, say, like siblings. In Gemini, eclipses can tend to be a little bit erratic. And so you want to be aware of the fact that there's about a 2-week window here where your thinking might be affected. Your mind might be affected. Writing and writers could be affected. Communication equipment, travel and transportation. Gemini eclipses can be extremely insightful. So definitely pay attention to any insights that you might have in the coming weeks. They may be related to this particular eclipse. But what you want to do is avoid taking people at their word during a Gemini eclipse, okay? If someone makes a promise to you right now, completely disregard it, please, especially in the days and weeks around the new moon. Now, we will be holding our new moon intention setting. Let's see, the day before the eclipse is exact. So Wednesday the 11th, the eclipse is going to be exact on the 12th. That's the date that you'll want to mark in your calendar. Okay, but like I said, avoid taking people at their word, disregard promises, keep your schedule free and open, especially where this could affect travel. If you have unexpected changes in a travel itinerary come up around this time, you'll want to be able to keep room to accommodate those changes in the event that you encounter delays or detours or reschedulings or any of that sort of disruption to a travel schedule, okay? We can also feel intense birthing pangs with this particular new moon. And as with all eclipses, avoid issuing ultimatums. Ultimatums at eclipse time can backfire badly. They will not serve you. So you want to just hold off if you've been thinking about issuing an ultimatum to someone in your life. This is not the best time to do it because it likely won't work out in your favor. Later in the month, and normally we would put this off for the next broadcast, but I want to talk about it right now. Later in the month, Mercury is going to retrograde in sidereal Cancer. Now, why this is important now is because on the 6th, here in just a few days, Mercury is going to enter the shadow of that retrograde, which means now is the time for you to prepare, okay? So in order to be fully prepared for a Mercury retrograde cycle, there's several things that you want to think about. There's several things you want to plan for. At the website at mystickphysick.com on the blog, and I'll share this post here on the Facebook page here in the next day or so, maybe this afternoon. So I have written a blog post about Mercury retrograde. It's the Mercury Retrograde Survival Guide. It's going to give you some general guidance and some more specific tips on how you can use this particular Mercury retrograde specifically for the house that Cancer falls in your natal chart, okay? You can download an excerpt of, I have a 33-page ebook called the Mercury Retrograde Survival Guide, and you can download a free excerpt of that that's going to give you some preliminary information for how you can prepare and some strategies that you can use to kind of navigate your way through the coming several weeks. Or you can also purchase the expanded full guide and get all of the details on how to best use Mercury retrograde transits. And right now, I've just put that on sale today. It's going to be available for $12.99 for just a limited time. It's normally $17.99. So if you'd like to get that, I will also share a link for the guide while it's on sale. And so especially like if you normally dread Mercury retrograde, if you tend to think that it's a time that what can go wrong will go wrong, and you think that that's just how Mercury retrograde is, then this is a guide that's going to help you. It's going to help you change your approach and help you change your thinking about Mercury retrograde cycles. It includes strategies for what to do if you just absolutely cannot avoid taking certain actions during a Mercury retrograde. And it has expanded house-by-house strategies for how to put any given Mercury retrograde cycle to work for you depending on where he's going to be retrograding in your natal chart. This time around in Cancer, so you want to specifically look to the house that Cancer occupies in your sidereal natal chart. But what I really like about this guide, I wrote it specifically for you to come back to time after time. So Mercury retrogrades roughly 3 to 4 times a year. You're going to come back to this guide 3 to 4 times a year to get specific guidance about each Mercury retrograde transit based on the sign he's retrograding in. And so what you'll learn are the critical actions that you should avoid during a Mercury retrograde cycle, what you can do to protect yourself from his mischievous behavior, and how you can turn a retrograde around and actually make it work for you. And so it's going to teach you specific steps for how you can prepare how to get deliberate about using the retrograde energy in alignment with your own natal blueprint. And it's going to teach you how to figure out where you can like really dive deep and consciously explore your life so that retrograde Mercury is actually working with you and not against you. And so it's a really helpful guide, and like I said, you'll come back to it again and again. And it's just really to help you get prepared in advance, because there's just a few basic precautions that you can take, and if you take those precautions and align your actions and your intentions with what Mercury has planned for you anyway, you could really take charge of your Mercury retrograde experience. And so I'll share a link for the guide in the comments on the broadcast, and that way if you'd like to get it while it's on sale at $12.99 you can. And then also keep an eye on the Mystick Physick Facebook page, because I'll post a link to the blog post as well. But the guide definitely goes more in depth than the blog post does. So a few announcements for you. July 2018 horoscopes, we're here on the 2nd. If you haven't read them yet, you're going to want to hit the website and read your overview plus your short reports. You're going to want to read your July full horoscope by sign for both your sidereal sun sign and your sidereal rising sign to get the full breadth of information that will help guide you through July, because July is kind of crazy, okay? And then also don't forget to join me coming up on the 11th at 7:30 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time in the Sidereal Insights Astrology community. We're going to be doing our new moon solar eclipse in Gemini intention setting. And if you don't normally join me for the intention settings, this is one that you don't want to miss. Eclipse energy is a lot more powerful than a typical new moon or full moon. And so this is an event that you really want to capitalize on the oomph behind the new moon for setting intentions and building as you go forward. Okay, and then don't forget, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and stay tuned for announcements about the 2019 Ultimate Astrological Planner, which is currently in the works. And thank you for joining me. Please like and share this broadcast. If you got a benefit out of it, feel free to tag a friend who may also be interested in anything that we talked about today. And like I said, keep an eye on the comments. I'll post a link for you for that Mercury Retrograde Survival Guide. Thanks for joining me, and we'll see you next time.